Joining again from my backyard. Today is Wednesday, March 31st, 2021, and I am in a state of decision making. So here are my assets. This pot, rectangle planter, square planter, can't move. And then there are two planters like this. The other one is in the front because I was visualizing. So the name of the game is use only what you have on hand before buying new materials, and see what you can come up with. So considering that this can't move, I'm going to be working and building around that. I'm thinking, or Austin and I are thinking, we're in a discussion about it, this rectangle box, which my dad actually made for us, going in the front yard where the majority of the sun is during growing seasons. I think that's what we're going to end up with. Other thoughts include these different pots. As much as I would love for my whole home to be a food forest overnight, the reality is that we have to see the bigger vision and work backwards from there. So for now, we are working on establishing and maintaining a small, delightful garden that she can grow up enjoying and we can share with our little community here. And then just kind of build out from there. So we'll check back here tomorrow once we get the box for now moved to the front to see how I feel about it. I just wanted to share in this vlog, wherever it is that I put it, that I just found a selfie stick in our house somewhere, somehow. We've never bought one, and it was just there, hiding. So, things are gonna get a little cooler. Okay, here is a different view of our berry garden that I have been doing some kind of pickup around, and I forgot that I was conducting a few experiments. for the varying conditions we have throughout this shape. So here we are. I was in cleanup mode and I realized I had a few sprouts. I had dropped some chamomile seeds here, just kind of brushed over them and then just kind of left it to see what would happen. So as you can see, there are a couple sprouts. I think there are a few down here as well. They're a little trickier to see in this lighting. But I'd like to share a few of the experiments that I've been running here with you today. So here is one for chamomile. In this environment, it gets a nice amount of sun. As you can see, it's where these beautiful purple little bells are, as well as dandelions, of course. Oh, and we've got a bee friend. Yay! Anyway, the issue, air quotes issue, is the amount of pine needles. That does tend to make soil fairly acidic. And so I'm a little excited to see that the chamomile are doing okay here. Again, this has been no supervision, no extra watering than what nature just naturally kind of happens. So I'm glad to see that there are some sprouts. And I'm going to go ahead and take you over to another area that has different conditions where I'm conducting some other experiments. All right, here we are in another experimental place. I'll give you kind of a point of reference. So in our last video, we talked about the different plants and the different areas where we have things. And here was our first kind of big project with these cedar chips. So in this area, I had a pot with some soil that I had previously grown zucchini in. And so I just dropped a few seeds in here. And that was, shoot, a little while ago. And almost none of them took root. Turns out the squirrels in our backyard are little troublemakers, and they came and took out a fair amount of our seeds. As you can see here, we do have one sprouted seed so far that the squirrels have still not gotten a hold of. There was another one here in the center, but it appears that the squirrels did come and snag that one. I'm 90% sure this is a sunflower. The only other option of seeds that I threw in here were some lupine. So we will keep an eye here. Eventually in this space, hopefully planted in the earth, I would love to have a bean teepee, and I'll share some photos of the goals for that at some point in this video, maybe. I'm still learning video editing, so but I am trying to kind of get a feel of where do different seeds do well in my backyard versus maybe not so well. So here's an example of where the squirrels really love to come join in my experiments and create a factor that I had not considered. Oh, as well as Carson being a contributing factor. And I've got a few more experiments that I'm playing around with here to show you in a bit.
Hi, Mama.
Hi. Okay, and here we are. As you can see, there's the front, and we've got a garden box up. Depending when I insert this clip into my full video, you may or may not have already seen that. If you haven't seen it yet, you will. This area eventually will have a path, and my hope was for this to be kind of a pollinator corridor. So lots of different plants that will attract our pollinator friends and bring them toward where we will be building out more garden area in both directions. Because right now we don't have tons of attractors for pollinators. So I was gifted some bulbs a few weeks ago by a family member. And I decided, you know what, we're just gonna give it a try and see what goes in well here. As you can see, dandelions, oh, my marigold seeds. Glad I found those. Dandelions grow pretty easily here without any type of improvements to the conditions. So I'm just kind of going to be keeping an eye over these next few weeks over which bulbs. I think I did about 3 here. Just kind of seeing how do they do, what does that look like, just for, you know, kind of minimal effort, minimal upkeep. What can we do? And most things that we are working on right now are in the experimental phase. I mentioned before on this vlog series that I tend to prefer to experiment and figure things out on my own. So while I could 100% follow the instructions and just do exactly what all the books tell me to do, I like to see it for myself. So that's what we've got for experiments. And then I'll share some more in the front yard, in the garden boxes, once we're ready for that.
joining you now from a different point in time after it has rained to show you that after Austin went in the garage and we kind of reviewed the tools and assets that we already have on hand, we realized we had some, I think this is called chicken wire. Anyway, we had bought it for a different project, but then remembered that my grandpa had told us it's really useful to keep squirrels out because they have those little hands and they just want to dig. Obviously, still not effective at keeping Carson out, but we do what we can with what we have, right? So here's a little peek at that sprout as well as this one, how it's doing and developing. But just a quick little update for everyone that we found something to hopefully deter our silly squirrels who want to be gardeners.
Thank you for joining us in the most recent edition of What Are We Doing in Our Backyard? I hope you enjoyed seeing the processes of doing some experiments that I've been doing in the backyard and front yard, as well as our front yard garden box and our fairy garden. I look forward to sharing more with you all as we move forward in time, and keep an eye out. I don't think I'll be doing a dedicated day of the week, so as long as you follow me on socials or just subscribe and follow along, then you will be updated as to when new videos join this realm. Thanks so much for joining. Start where you are. Use what you have.